You're probably at work right now, or dreading it. For 290,000 years, jobs simply did not exist. No resumes, no interviews, no 2-week notice ever given, no manager, no clock to punch, no weekend to wait for. So what did people actually do with their days? The real answer will make your job feel absurd. Ancient humans were not lazy, far from it, but their work looked nothing like yours today. No one called themselves a hunter as a career. You did what needed doing, then you simply stopped. Anthropologists studied groups still living like our ancestors did. They're finding stunned researchers who expected constant grinding labor. These groups work roughly 3 to 5 hours a day. That's it. The rest belongs entirely to them. Rest, play, storytelling, making things, simply existing. Compare that to your 8-hour day, plus commute, plus emails answered at midnight, in bed, half asleep. We call that arrangement progress. Ancient humans would disagree. Here's the strange part nobody mentions in school. Early humans weren't constantly scrambling just to survive. That brutal struggle image is mostly modern invention. Most regions had abundant, reliable, renewable food sources. Hunting and gathering, done well, is remarkably efficient. You don't need 40 hours to feed yourself. Not when food already grows around your camp. The Hadza in Tanzania still live this way today. Researchers tracked their actual hours, minute by minute. Men hunt for about 2 hours each morning. Women gather 3 to 5 hours, always together, always talking. By early afternoon, the entire day's work is done. Evenings are for socializing, music, games, and rest. Children play with no schedule, no structured activities at all. Nobody is optimizing anyone's productivity out there. This wasn't poverty. This was quiet, unnoticed abundance. Ancient humans had something we have completely lost. They had time. Enormous, unstructured, unhurried time. Time to learn every plant in their territory. Time to create beauty with absolutely no deadline. The oldest cave paintings are over 40,000 years old. No professional painters made these on company hours. Ordinary people made them because they finally had time. They carved jewelry from shells, bones, and teeth. They carved flutes from hollow vulture wing bones. They told stories so good, we still tell versions. None of this was a job. It was simply life. So when did the very first job begin? The shift happened roughly 12,000 years ago. Agriculture arrived, and it was not an upgrade. Once farming started, people began working more, not less. Fields demand constant labor, planting, weeding, harvesting, storing. Someone always has to guard crops from animals, from raiders. Fields, unlike hunting grounds, never take a single day off. Skeletons quietly confirm the entire ugly trade-off. Compare hunter-gatherer bones to early farmer bones directly. Farmers show more disease, more stress, more malnutrition. Their teeth are worse. Their bodies are shorter. They simply die younger than the people before them. Agriculture didn't make life easier. It made survival scalable. More humans could live in one place, working harder, and living distinctly shorter lives while doing it. Here's the cruelest part of the entire arrangement. Once you're farming, you genuinely cannot just leave. Hunter-gatherers moved on when resources quietly ran out. Farmers stayed because they'd invested months into that ground. They'd built permanent shelters worth defending at any cost. So they stayed and fought to defend what they'd made. That's the exact moment ownership started to matter. Nomads can't own much. You carry only what you need. Farmers accumulate. They store grain. They claim land. And suddenly, quietly, some people have more than others. Next came something even more permanent, specialization itself. In hunter-gatherer bands, everyone can do most things. In farming towns, you get potters, weavers, builders, soldiers. People who now do only one single thing, forever. And if you only do one thing, you need everyone else. You need trade. You need systems. You need hierarchy. That is precisely where the very first job came from. Not progress. Simple, quiet dependency, generation after generation. A potter genuinely cannot just decide to hunt instead. That knowledge is gone. He now relies on others completely. And here's the detail that should honestly bother you. No single person ever chose this system deliberately. Nobody woke up one morning and picked jobs over freedom. It happened slowly over thousands of years, unnoticed. By the time anyone noticed the trade, it was final. So what exactly did humanity trade away, precisely? We traded personal autonomy directly for shared security, and we've been quietly trying to buy it back ever since. Hunter-gatherers made every decision together, as an equal group. There were no bosses. Nobody could force your hand. If you disliked the group's direction, you simply left. Anthropologists call this pattern fierce egalitarianism, and it worked. Groups that let one person dominate rarely survived long. But jobs, by definition, require some form of hierarchy. Someone owns the land, the tools, the entire product. Someone else simply provides the labor, and nothing else. That isn't collaboration anymore. That's a rigid power structure. And once that structure exists once, it spreads everywhere. Early cities had kings, priests, merchants, and laborers. Laborers worked the hardest and personally owned the least. They couldn't leave, because every scrap of land was claimed. Freedom slowly became something only the wealthy could afford. For most of history after farming began, this continued. Average people worked sunrise to sunset, 6 days weekly. Farmers, servants, laborers worked until their bodies simply gave out. This wasn't a career choice. This was raw survival. The modern job, separate from your whole life, came later. It didn't fully form until the Industrial Revolution arrived. Factories needed workers at exact times doing exact tasks. You stopped working your own land, permanently, forever. Instead, you sold your time, 8, 10, 14 hours daily. Inside a building you never owned, making products you'd never use. For wages that barely, just barely, kept you alive. Children worked inside coal mines, small hands in darkness. Women worked textile mills, breathing cotton fiber daily, fibers that slowly, quietly destroyed their lungs completely. People died in factory accidents shockingly often, barely noticed. This, somehow, was called progress, was called civilization. Workers eventually fought back, hard, for decades straight. Unions demanded weekends, 8-hour days, basic safety rules. None of this was a gift from generous employers. It was won through strikes, real violence, sheer persistence. The 40-hour week we now consider barely sufficient. In 1926, that exact demand was considered radical, dangerous. Here's the strangest twist in the entire story. We actually won those battles. Then we simply stopped. We accepted 40 hours weekly, 50 weeks yearly for decades. We built our entire society directly around that number. Mortgages, car payments, insurance, retirement, all assume you'll work. And somehow, even now, it's still not quite enough. Productivity has exploded dramatically since the 1970s alone. Technology was supposed to finally actually set us free. Computers, automation, the entire internet, all promised less work. We now produce more per hour than any humans before. But wages stagnated. Work hours never actually decreased at all. We just quietly learned to work much, much harder. Here's a fact that should genuinely stop you cold. Modern Americans now work more hours yearly than medieval peasants. That is not an exaggeration. That is documented fact. Medieval laborers had Sundays off, plus dozens of saints' days. They had harvest festivals and long, quiet winters, largely free. They averaged roughly 1,500 working hours per year. Modern Americans now clock over 1,800, often significantly more. We carry smartphones, yet somehow feel less free than they did. We have modern medicine, yet somehow feel far more stressed. We have genuine abundance, yet almost no time to enjoy it. because jobs stopped being just something we merely do. They quietly became something closer to who we entirely are. Meet someone new. The first question is always what you do. Never who are you. Never what do you actually love. Never what genuinely makes you feel alive inside. Just what do you do specifically for money? Your job has become your entire identity, whether you like it. Lose that job and people assume you've lost your purpose. But for 290,000 of our 300,000 years, nobody had a job. They had skills instead, roles instead, real contributions instead. They had genuine community. They had actual abundant time. And they were fundamentally us. Same brain, same capacity. Same deep need for meaning that you still feel today. We did not evolve to sit still under fluorescent lights. We did not evolve to stare at glowing screens endlessly. We did not evolve for endless meetings about other meetings. We evolved to move, to build, to genuinely connect. We evolved to rest fully when tired, work when inspired. Jobs, as we know them, are not remotely natural. They are not some unavoidable, inevitable law of nature. They are simply the system we happen to inherit. And maybe, just maybe, that trade deserves real questioning. We gave up an enormous amount for very little back. And somehow we're still quietly paying that price today. We call this arrangement civilization. We call it progress. But our actual ancestors, the ones who painted caves, the ones who carved flutes from hollow bird bones, the ones who knew every single plant by name, they already had the one thing we're desperately chasing. They had their own time, completely, entirely, freely theirs. We are still working, decades on, just to buy ours back. One vacation day, one retirement plan at a single time. So next time your alarm goes off before sunrise, remember, for 290,000 years, that sound simply didn't exist. No alarm ever decided when a single human woke. Your own body did that every single morning freely. Somewhere between the first farm and your last email. We traded that freedom away, quietly, one generation at a time. Nobody voted on it. Nobody signed anything at all. It simply accumulated century after century until here we are. Sitting in traffic, checking a phone, dreading Monday morning again. While somewhere 30,000 years ago, someone was simply free. Free to paint, to rest, to talk until midnight. Free to wake without a single deadline hanging overhead. That freedom wasn't primitive. It wasn't backward or lesser. It was, by nearly every honest measure, remarkably efficient. We didn't out-evolve that life. We simply outgrew it. Grew past the point where it could still support us. And once we did, there truly was no going back. So the next time someone calls this progress, pause. Ask what exactly was gained. Ask what was quietly lost. Because for 290,000 years, humans never once had a job. They simply had their lives entirely, completely to themselves. And for one single day, you might wonder what that felt like.